Tierney, and I am going live today, and I want to show you a couple of things with blending brushes. I'm coming to you from Vermont today. I am visiting my daughter, and she's about to have a baby any day, so I am here just in case labor happens when we least expect it, or when I don't want to be driving from my house in the middle of the night to her house. So there may be some extra noise today. There may be some life going on around us, but that's okay. We'll just continue on making a card. As I said, I'm Lorraine with Chat and Craft with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I love to show different techniques and different cards you can make. Today I thought I'd show you some things with blending brushes. So Stampin' Up! Sells blending brushes in packs of 3. I tend to use one for greens, one for blues, and one for pinks. I guess I don't do a whole lot with yellow, or I use other the yellow on the same brush or whatever. You can switch inks, and you just kind of rub the blending brush clean on a piece of scrap paper like that till you're not getting any more ink off of it. When I'm at home, I have a damp microfiber cloth that I use to get the ink off. I did not bring that with me today, but I won't be switching colors with the same brush today. Too much anyway, so that's okay. The first technique that I want to show you is called the Retiform Technique, and something just happened to my Facebook and I'm not seeing it anymore. So here I am. This is the Retiform Technique, and I did a video with this a while back. You can find it on YouTube on my channel, but today I'm going to do a slightly different way of making a Retiform card. So I'm using some large Post-it notes. These are very large. I think these are 8 inches across. I'm not sure how wide they are. But I've cut them in half, but I wanted them to be able to span across my 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of cardstock. And I'm going to mask off a triangle. I don't know if everybody does triangle shapes for Retiform, but that's what I tend to do. So I do like to do that. So I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm going to use Misty Moonlight, Just Jade, and Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to use one blending brush for each color. So I'm going to kind of lay the blending brushes on top of the ink pad that I'm going to use them with, and hope that that helps me. I'm just kind of placing them like this. They're off camera a little bit, but hope that helps me keep them straight. So I'm going to start with the Misty Moonlight, and I'm just going to rub my blending brush in. I want to get a fair amount of color on my brush, and I have this is the stickier part of the paper, so I'm going to just start coloring right in here. And I'm inking. I'm sorry, this table's going to shake. Let me go a little bit slower and see if I can have there be less of an earthquake as I'm doing this. Is that any better? Like I said, I'm at my daughter's house, so I'm using a folding table, and I'm just grateful I can still come on and do this with you today. Okay, so there's my first color. Let's see. And you just keep layering it on, and it deepens it and smooths it out a little bit. And then I'm going to pull that up and pull this one up. And I want there to be a little bit of white space in between the colors. So now I'm going to lay this down, but I've left some white space, and usually I would use my microfiber cloth to get any extra ink off of that piece of paper as well, because we don't want that to bleed. And I'm going to make a different triangle. And I'm going to switch to my Just Jade color. So I'm going to do the same thing, inking up my blending brush, and then holding the paper down and blending on the Just Jade color. I love this Just Jade. I love Misty Moonlight. I think I like the jewel tone kinds of colors, the colors that are deep. Okay, so now I have another one, and you can see the line I've left in between. So I'm actually going to put this one back down because I haven't finished up top here, and add this one over a little bit. And I have another piece ready here, and I'm going to do another triangle sort of shape. And I'll do this one in the Gorgeous Grape. So I'm just getting some ink. I'm trying not to keep my ink pad on the table in hopes that it won't shake quite so much. Whoops. And the color looks a little bit deeper in real life than it seems like it's looking on my computer monitor. There we go. And again, I'll peel those up. And I'm still going to leave that one down because I still want a line over there. And I'm going to do a triangle here and a triangle there. See if I can get any of that color off. And let's see, I have blue, green, purple. I think I'll do a green right there. I'm getting some more of that Just Jade ink. Yeah. No, I'm going to switch that to blue because there's going to be one more triangle at the top, and I don't want the blue to be next to blue. So Misty Moonlight it is. There's not a lot of adhesive on this piece right here, so I'm going to hold it taut with my fingers so that I can't get under it. And I'm sorry I didn't have one of these cards to show you ahead of time. I forgot it at home. I did make one and I do like it. So hopefully you will like it also. Okay, so there we go. And now we're going to do one more spot. I have blue under there, so that's good that I switched that out. And I'm going to do the Just Jade here. Okay. There's something very mesmerizing about blending the ink on with blending brushes. It's just kind of relaxing and fun. So there's that side. Now I'm going to bring it over here, and I want to do some different shapes. I don't want it to look like I've made it symmetrical or match. That kind of looks flag-like to me. That was unintentional. Move this one over a little bit more. I'm going to try to divide that corner right there. Okay, so what do I have? I have blue, so it's open to any color. I think I'll do purple. The Gorgeous Grape. There we go. I like that one. Came out nice and dark. I don't know if you can see the difference there. There's Gorgeous Grape. And we'll put a line there. And I think I'll go a little bit different here. Make a triangle going this way. And we'll do some blue. Whoops. I had not paying attention to where the sticky stuff is, so I'll just have to hold that a little tighter with my fingers. As you want to try to get a nice crisp line if you can. Okay. And I'm going to see if I have other papers I can use because I'm getting a little bit of bleeding from my papers. Do that. And we'll do a funky shaped one right here. Let's see, I have purple, blue, it's time for green, Just Jade. And like I said, I'm putting a good bit of pressure on my ink pad and really trying to pick up a fair amount of ink so that I can lay on a pretty thick color. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna wipe off the papers on my jeans. Isn't that what jeans are for? And do one more right here, and that might leave me a teeny tiny little sliver. Is that gonna work? Let's do it. I need to cover up that little sliver right there as well. So it's going to be a little funky. This isn't quite a triangle, this last piece, but that happens sometimes. So I have blue there, I have green there, so it's Gorgeous Grape's turn. And we're almost done with this background. Now, in the other Retiform card I did years ago, I used a dauber and just did a little ink around the edges and then stamped something in each piece. And some people love it. They love that look. It was not my favorite. I like it, but I like this look better with just the color blocks as your background. So this is what our background will look like, and you could put it this way or this way. Maybe I would have liked a little bit smaller triangle right there, but that's pretty good so far. I'm getting another piece of 5 1/4 by 4 for the inside because I thought I'd like to kind of carry that theme over into the inside. So I'm going to put a triangle in the inside about where the sentiment would go. I'll have it pointing up. I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight to do it, and I'm just going to put it on very lightly. There may be enough ink already on my brush, and because then I want to kind of stamp over the triangle. But I just want to carry over a hint of the design from the front onto the inside. You know how sometimes you would do a flower on the inside that matches? I just thought it would be fun. Well, I'm not too centered, so I guess I will stamp my sentiment a little bit off center too. I'm going to use the sentiment for all the great things you do, because on the front we're going to put a thanks. You'll see that in a minute. This is from Wildlife Wonder. This is a new stamp set I recently got, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I love the mixed fonts. I like the wildlife images. It's great for masculine cards. So let's ink this up. Just want to see if it's going to come out nice and dark. That's pretty dark. I could put this in the Stamparatus, but I'm just going to hope I can get it good and dark. Okay. So now, I don't have my grid paper with me. You know how much I like my grid paper for getting things lined up. But I'm going to stamp this sentiment right there. For all the great things you do. And then I'll show you how we'll put the card together. All right. So this white that we started with is 5 1/4 by 4, and I think I want to mat it, so we'll have to trim it down a little bit. Yeah, I like it with a mat. And I cut it a little bit big because sometimes the edges pick up a lot of ink, and you like cutting off a little bit from the edges. So I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of each of the 4 sides. And then I'll have room for a mat. Whoops, I think I'm out of the camera. This table is a little bit shallower, or where I mounted my camera was a little different. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to put this on like this, and I'll use my liquid glue. So tell me in the comments, if you will, have you made all of your Valentines? Are you ready to go, or are you still working on those? I have moved on from my Valentines. I try to show you ideas early, so that results in me getting mine made early. Okay, and so now I'm going to put this on my Misty Moonlight card base. I could put a ribbon around it. Here's what we're going to put on the front. I cut out the 2-layer thanks from the Amazing Thanks dies. These are the dies that go with the Amazing Silhouette stamp set. I like that a lot. So let's put that together, and then I'll see if I want a ribbon on it. I did not put a ribbon on the other one I made. My glue has stopped coming out. You can use the adhesive sheets with these. This thanks is pretty easy to glue on. It's not too fine. So here we go. I'm just going to layer that on. There. So I can put that like that, or I can put, I think I'm going to put a ribbon around it and tie a bow. I think I am. Let's see. I can always take the bow off. I won't adhere anything down just yet. So this is a great little ribbon. It lays nice and flat. This is the seam binding, And on the next card, I'm probably going to color the ribbon, but I can't color it on this one because I only brought 2 blends with me this trip, and they are pale papaya, and that would not be a great match for this card. So that is not tight enough. We'll try it again. I wish somebody could come on over and put their finger right here for me. I'm not very good at using my own finger to do that. And I think I'm going to have a lot of extra ribbon here, but that's okay. I'm going to show you the trick that I do when I'm having, oh, that is way too much. We're going to try one more time. I'm sorry. Let me cut this off. Okay. Sometimes I put a glue dot right there, and the glue dot will be like a finger holding things in place for me. But I'll show you another hack I have when I can't get things as tight as I want. Oh, I may give up on this bow shortly. All right, 17th time is a charm, right? 17th time. Okay, so this is going to be loose. So I'll get to teach you one of my other hacks. Oh, I cannot shorten this bow. Why not? There we go. Here we go. Okay, so let's see if I even like the bow on here. I'm going to slide it over a little bit more. I'll trim those. Now I'm going to take the bow off. But what I do to tighten the bow is I would put a piece of Seal or Seal Plus on the back here, and then stretch this up on the back. Pull that extra tight. So I'd stretch it first and put the seal where I want to hold it, like that, and then that tightens it up on the other side. But I think I'm going to abandon the whole idea of a bow. Maybe we'll use that piece on the next card. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here. There we go. And I think I will pop my thanks up on some dimensionals right there. And of course, I didn't bring a whole lot of bling with me, so I don't think I have any that are the same color, but that's something I can always add when I get back home. I could use the in color square gems, or color a couple of pearls to match. I'm just trimming off a few of my dimensionals into smaller sizes. Okay. I think that will be good, except that you can see where I just put that last one. Okay, so there is my thanks. And so with a couple of little pieces of bling, I'm going to put another small piece of a dimensional under that S. Sometimes I use my scissors as little tweezers, and that's going to be too big. Put this little piece right under there. it didn't stay. Try that one more time. There we go, little surgery. So there is a Retiform. I call this the modern Retiform because to me it looks like it's been updated a little bit, that you can do with your blending brushes. And then this on the inside, and it's just got that little triangle that pulls the theme in. You could do that on your envelope as well. But I have to admit that when I decorate my envelope, even though I could put the card in the envelope to keep them together, they tend to get separated and I forget that I have a decorated envelope. So that is one technique with the blending brushes. And then we're going to do another one, and I do have a sample for that card. This card looks like this. This is the Artfully Composed suite, and that background on this paper is made with blending brushes and one of the dies. So we're going to do this in slightly different colors this time. So let me grab some of the things for that. So here is my piece of, I'm using the thick cardstock. I wanted it to have a little weight to it, the thick basic white. And I cut this open leaf out of thick Whisper White also. And I'm going to try to get it out. Okay, and so this, I'm just going to lay this down, and this is going to be a stencil that I'm going to use with a blending brush. I'm going to use the green. I'm going to try to get some of this Just Jade off of here, and you can see not too much comes off, but I want to get some of it off because I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz, and I want it to be not be contaminated. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this in different spots on my paper, and on this one I don't necessarily want so much ink. I'm going to do a lighter color. I'm just making sure that it's not gonna give me Just Jade. So I'm just gonna kind of go outward because I don't want to mash this. And then I'm going to move it. And you'll see I'm starting to get the pattern. And I'm not going to worry about it being too even or all the same shade. I'm just going to randomly go around with this, and I'm turning the leaf so that the pattern will go in all different directions. You could really do this with any of the dies that you have. This one is very open, but you could do it with one that is not quite so open. I'm not going to worry too much about the middle of the card right here because I'm going to cover that up with other things. But I will get some right here. And some over here. I'm even thinking that this die cut that I'm using is going to have some great color on it. I may need to use this in my card. It's really looking quite nice. And I seem to have missed a little corner up here. So I'm going to just put a little more there. So that's the background made with a stencil. There seems to be a lot of glare on that. Let me see if I move that light, if that helps a little bit. Can you see that better? The camera is really strange with Facebook and Zoom, so it looks very blotchy. It does not look so blotchy at all in real life. There's a nice soft layer of the pear pizzazz down there. I tried moving my light around a little bit, see if that helps. But we'll keep going, and hopefully you'll be able to get a good idea of it as we put the card together. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my card base. I'm just centering this. And then we're going to layer some of the different die cuts from this Artfully Layered bundle. I've used most of the leaves. I used that little zigzag. Just want to get that in there before it gets lost on my table. All right. So this is going to have a sentiment on it, these two down here at some point. But first I want to layer some leaves. So these are all different dies that come in the pack. On this one, I stamped on the Pale Papaya DSP first, very lightly, and then cut it out. I used that stamp and then cut it out so that it would have a little more depth or texture to it. On this one, I like leaving some of those pieces in. I don't like it layered too spindly. And then I thought maybe I would do a stamped and die cut leaf on this one. So it's a little bit different than the other one. I'm going to cut the little stem wants to peek out the way I want it here. So I'm just going to cut that off. So I kind of want to have things coming out different ways. Let's see. Oh, and I lost one of my evening evergreen pieces. There we go. And then I could do that one, or sometimes I put these back in. That's what I did on this one. I put those pieces back in because I don't want to see through it and see the other things underneath. I could do that. I think I'm going to go with the solid one this time. Okay, so I'm going to have to just start putting these down because they'll never stay where I want them. So I am going to be doing a blending brush class on February 11th via Zoom. And the way you get into that class, the registration, is if you place an order with me of at least $35, then I will send you the card kit and cardstock that we'll be using to make 4 cards with 4 different blending brush techniques. You will need to have the blending brushes and some masks or stencils. Stampin' Up! Calls them masks. And we'll do some heat embossing with the blending brushes too. So it's helpful if you have heat embossing materials. So if you go to www.chatandcraftwithlorraine.com, you can click on a Shop Now button, and you will be able to place an order with me, and that will get you into the class. And the class will be recorded for people that are registered for it. I'm not going to share the recording publicly. I'm just going to share it with the people who are registered for the class, who've made a purchase. And that way, if you can't make the class, you can access the video at a later date, or if you want to go back and look at something again, you will have the video. So let me see where this one, maybe it came out right there. Yes. So I'm going to try to put it in. I'm tired of telling you that I forgot things or don't have things, but can you guess that I don't have my take your pick tool? Because that would make this so much easier. Okay, so I think that will go there. And my sentiment, I don't know, I wonder if my sentiment would fit right on this little green. I want to use the thank you from this stamp set. Let's see if it would fit. Oh, and I have a little piece of ribbon on the other card that I did like. No. I think I'm going to skip the ribbon on this one. And let's see. I think I'm going to use the black. I don't know. Is the black going to be too dark? No, I think that will be okay. I could use Evening Evergreen. I think that's what I'll do. It's almost as dark as the black, but it's a little closer to the family. I'm just afraid the Pear Pizzazz won't show up very well on the Pear Pizzazz paper, and the Pale Papaya will be too pale. So let's see if this will fit. I don't think it's going to fit. I don't want to ruin that and have to go cut another one. Okay, so there's the thank you. And let's see. I could just hide that under there. And that's what we're going to do. Just sort of like that. So let me cut this at roughly 4. I do want to 4 1/4. I do want to use my trimmer. Oh, that piece is 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, and we'll put this one down first. Right across the bottom. And then that one. And then the leaf. How did I make that fit before, people? Huh? How did I get that all on there? There we go. I guess that. We'll just put this on and we'll make that leaf fit. I may have to trim some off the left-hand side, but we'll see what happens. All right, and that will go just like that. I didn't pop anything up on dimensionals because with so many leaves, I was afraid it would get really lumpy too fast. So here we go. I wish you could see this background. Let me just close this before I mess it up. This background a little bit better because it really is so pretty and so soft, and it's not quite so blotchy. That seems to be a little better way of seeing it. But but it comes out really nicely. So dig out your blending brushes, remember why you purchased them, and make some beautiful backgrounds. This one is the Retiform Technique, and then this one is just using a die. And like I said, there's an older Retiform video on my YouTube channel, Chat and Craft with Lorraine Tierney. You can watch it there. And if you'd like to take part in the blending brush class, go to chatandcraftwithlorraine.com and click on the Shop Now button. On your phone, you'll have to hit the little 3 lines in the right, but on a computer, it comes up in the center of the page. And I'd love to have you join the class. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. Stay warm if you're in the Northeast. Bye-bye.